Lesson 3, all future generations. So ang ating quarter ngayon ay pumapatungkol sa pangako ng Diyos, no? Ang walang hanggang covenant, or the everlasting covenant, or God's everlasting covenant. That is His promise. And tayo po ngayon ay nasa lesson 3. And this is all about the future generation. Now, isa-summarize po natin ang ating lesson. Ito po ang summary ng ating lesson. Humanity progressively went to wreck and ruin after sin entered the world. No? So, progressive. Ano yung progressive? Parang continuous, no? At parang bumibigat. So, progressive. Most humans decided to devote themselves entirely to sin, although a minority chose to obey and praise God. So God intervened a drastic way when evil tapped out, but He found a way to give us a second chance in His grace. So ang key text po natin ay mababasa sa Genesis 6 verse 8. So ito po ay pumapatungkol kay Noah. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So since lesson po ito mga kapatid, tayo po ay magkakaroon ng interaction. No? Hindi lang po ako ang magsasalita. So magkakaroon po tayo ng interaction. Yan. So ang summary natin, first is the antediluvian world. Ano po yung antediluvian world? Ito po yung panahon o period na bago ang baha na dinidescribe sa Bible. So, only evil thoughts and Noah, a just man. The second, ito po ang covenant ng Panginoong Diyos. A covenant with Noah and a covenant with all living beings. And the last is yung the remnant. Okay? So, evil thoughts. Ano po ang nandito? Ito po ay nasa Sunday lesson. No? Sabi dito, then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So sa mga panahong ito mga kapatid, wala pong ibang iniisip yung mga tao kundi yung yung kasalanan, gumagawa ng kasalanan, kung ano lang ang pinagagawa nila. So wala nang ibang iniisip kundi ang paggawa ng kasalanan. So ang principle ng kasalanan mga kapatid ay ganito. Una, 'di ba? Para ba siyang bacteria yung dinescribe sa Saturday lesson, na yung bacterium nagsisimula sa iisang bacterium, kasi bacterium isa. No, napakabilis po niyang mag-spread, no? Isang fission lang, yung paghihiwalay, in 24 hours it would parang mag-generate siya into millions of bacterium. Marami na po siya. So parang nangyari sa atin ngayon. Saan nagsimula yung yung tawag nito, yung COVID-19, 'di ba? Ang bilis kumalat, hindi lang sa isang lugar kundi sa buong mundo. Parang ganon. No, ang kasalanan ganon din mga kapatid. Nagsimula ito kina saan? Kina Adan at saka ni Eva. Napakabilis. In that same day nag-spread kaagad. Una, anong nangyari doon kung matatandaan natin? 'Di ba? So when sa Genesis 3:16, sa Genesis 3:6, no, kung babasahin natin yung Genesis 3 verse 6. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband, no? Nung nakuha niya na yung fruits, nung natikman niya, nagkasala siya. Hindi lang siya nagkasala, that same day, binigyan niya yung kanyang asawa at kumain din, no? So that time nag-spread na ang kasalanan. In verse 10, anong nangyari? sa verse 10. So he said, I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid and I was naked and I hid myself. So anong pong nangyari dito sa Genesis 3:10? Nagkaroon sila ng kahihiyan. Sin spread, nagkumalat ang kasalanan, then it causes shame. Di ba? So nahiya na sila. No, ito yung sin principle. Next sa verse 11 to 13, same chapter. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I have commanded you that you should not eat? The man said, the woman whom you gave to me, be with me. So ano nang nangyari? Hindi nila inamin yung kasalanan. The man said, the woman whom you gave to me, she gave me of tree, and I ate. And the Lord said unto the woman, who is with you? What is this you have done? The woman said, the serpent deceived me and I ate. Para bagang tatlo sila hinahatulan, no? Nandun yung babae, nandun yung lalaki, nandun yung serpent. Tapos, anong nangyari? Kinausap ng Diyos ang lalaki. Bakit mo baga sinasabing ikaw ay nakahubad? Kinain mo ba ang sinabi ko siyang bawal kainin? 'Di ba? Sabi niya, anong sinabi ng lalaki? Sabi niya, ito kasing babae na binigay mo. Nilinlang ako. Kaya tuloy kinain ko, 'di ba? Wala akong magawa. Nakain ko at hindi ko rin alam. So, binlame niya yung babae at hindi lang yung babae, binlame niya mismo ang Diyos, 'di ba? Kasi ito yung babaeng binigay mo. Siya ang nagbigay sa akin ng pagkain and kaya nakain ko. No, yung kinausap ng Panginoon ang babae. Ano naman tong ginawa mo? Sabi ng babae, yung serpent na ginawa mo, yung serpent pinakain ako, nilinlang ako, no? Kaya napakain. Tapos ngayon, wala nang malilingunan yung serpent, wala na siya, no? Wala. But at this time, God condemned the serpent, no? And the sin principle, first, the sin spread. The second, it causes shame, kahiyan. Third is blame. It causes blame, no? So after sin entered the earth, humans quickly went from being very good to being corrupted. So this is the first generation, no? Yung binasa natin kanina. First generation, it means fearing God. Nagkaroon sila ng, 'di ba, ng kahihiyan sa Diyos, mistrust, self-justification. Anong sinabing self-justification? Kasi yung babae, yung serpent kasi ganito, ganyan. So that is self-justification, no? Napakabilis ng pangyayari, no, nung nagkasala sila. And 'di ba, before kapag tayo po ay makikipag-usap kapag ang tao pala dati nakikipag-usap sa Diyos, magkakaroon sila ng glory, no? Yung katawan nila ay matatak, wala talaga silang pero matatakpan ito ng glory of God, no? 'Di ba, makikita natin yung si Moses nung humarap siya sa Diyos sa Mount saan yun? Yung sa burning bush, 'di ba? Nagkaroon siya ng glory sa kanyang mukha paglabas niya. Si Jesus Christ nung nakipag-usap siya sa Panginoong Diyos, 'di ba? Nagkaroon ng glory. So ang tao kapag nakipag-usap sa Diyos dati, magkakaroon siya, tatakpan yung sarili niya ng glory ng Panginoong Diyos. But this time nung humarap si Adam and Eve sa Panginoong Diyos, sila ay hubad. Nararamdaman nilang hubad sila kaya sila ay nagtago. So it causes shame and it causes blame. Then after that, the next generation is Genesis 4 verse 8. No? 4 verse 5. But he did not respect Cain and his offering, and Cain was angry and his countenance fell. Anong nangyari dito? After that, hindi natanggap ni Cain na ang kanyang offer was rejected, no? And he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry. Anong nangyari dahil sa kasalanan? Cain was very angry and it causes to murder his what? Yung kapatid niya, no? So it causes pride and anger. Okay, murder and open rebellion against God. That is sin. That is the cause of sin. Then the seventh generation, the first generation is Adam and Eve. Second generation is Cain and Abel. And then what's next? The seventh generation. Genesis 4, verse 23. Anong nangyari dito mga kapatid? And Lamech took himself 2 wives. The name of one was Ada and the name of the second was Zillah. Anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ng polygamy. Nagkaroon ng maraming asawa. Dito nagsimula ang pagkakaroon ng maraming asawa. So, still, that is principle of the sin principle. Next is 8th to 10th generation, Genesis 6, verses 2 to 11. God's servants mingle with sinners, unlimited violence. So ito na po ang nangyari, ang dami ng kasalanan. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, for all whom they choose. Kung sino lang magustuhan nila, yun na ang kukunin nila upang mapangasawa. No, that is compromise. Then, kung pagpapatuloy natin ang pagbabasa, Genesis chapter 6, verses 2 to 11, and the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Yet this day shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward. And when the sons of God came, and in the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, those were the mighty men who were old men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great. So unti-unti nang unti-unti nang lumalaki yung kasalanan. So that is progressive. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth. He was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man. No, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both men and beasts, creeping things and birds of the air. Lahat, mga kapatid. For I am sorry that I have made them. Nagsisi ang Panginoon Ama, mga kapatid. Because of sin, corruption. But alam naman natin na dahil doon, may grace ang Panginoon, no? So sa kanyang pagsaliksik, nakita niya itong si Noah. Noah was a just man. O mga kapatid, kung meron kayong lesson, meron kayong karagdagan, meron kayong tanong sa ating lesson, maaari po kayong magtanong or mag-add, no? Ito po ay sa tawag nito, sa Sunday lesson, the sin principle. Okay, only evil thoughts. So that was Sunday, no? So grabe na talaga ang kasalanan ng mga panahong yun. Kaya ang ating Panginoong Diyos ay gusto na niyang puksain lahat ng kanyang nilalang. But no, nung time na yon, nakita niya si Noah. So baka po meron kayong karagdagan bago po tayo magpatuloy. Ibigay ko po sa inyo kung meron kayong mga karagdagan po. Meron ba? Kung wala, punta na tayo sa Noah, a just man. Okay? Noah was a just man, perfect in his generation. So Noah walked with God. Okay? Sin leads to ruin and death. That's why God hates sin. He wants to eradicate it. But he also wants to save the sinners. Now, this is the very nature of God. He really hates sin, but he loves what? He loves sinners. So he wants to eradicate sin. Lahat ng kasalanan na meron yung mundong ito, gusto niyang tanggalin. Pero gusto niya ring iligtas yung mga tao. That's what the covenant is about. When God assessed the situation of the world, He observed that most humans had reached such a high level of wickedness, grabe na, and rebellion, that they were no longer hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. Hindi na nila naririnig yung boses ng banal na Espiritu. However, all was not lost. This is what He found. There were still some people who were listening to God and serving Him. Noah was one of them. He was just and perfect before God. So in Genesis 6 verse 8, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generation. Noah walked with God, and Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So nakikita natin na si Noah, he is a righteous man, he is blameless, and he walked with God. So this is Noah. As in 2 Peter 2 verse 5, it says, and did not spare the ancient world but saved Noah. Walang ibang naligtas sa mga panahong yun kundi si Noah lang. No, yun ang sabi sa 2 Peter 2 verse 5. One of the 8 people, no, 8 lang ang naligtas. A preacher of righteousness bringing in the flood on the world of ungodly, or in the world or the antediluvian world. So yun po ang parang summary. The antediluvian, that is only evil thoughts. Then this second one, Noah, a just man. In Matthew 24 verse 37 to 39, but as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. No? Ito yung sabi ng Panginoong Hesus sa atin. But as the days of Noah were, so also be the coming of the Son be. For us in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking. Anong nangyari sa atin mga kapatid? Daming lasing. Ang daming kumakain na lang dyan. Marrying and giving in marriage. Anong nangyari sa marriage natin? Di ba? Meron ng lalaki sa lalaki. Babae sa babae. Hindi na kalugod-lugod. Until the day that Noah entered into the ark and did not know until the flood came and took them away, so also the coming of the Son of Man be. So the same mga kapatid, ito ang hula o sabi ng Panginoong Hesus sa atin, na ang kanyang pagbabalik parang sa time ni Noah, ang kanyang pagliligtas, no? Parang kapareho o kahalintulad sa panahon ni Noah, na ang daming mga tao na kasalanan lamang ang nasa isip, no? Kung sino-sino na lang diyan ang pinapangasawa, no? Hindi na alam, kasalanan na lang ang nasa kanilang puso at isipan, at hindi na nila naririnig ang boses ng Panginoon. Nevertheless, his justice was not enough to save him from God's sentence. So yung pagiging just ni Noah is hindi siya sapat, no, para maligtas sa kaparusahan ng Panginoon. God established His covenant with Noah by grace, mga kapatid. So He established a covenant with Noah. So it was through Noah. So basahin natin ito mga kapatid, napakaganda na ito. It was through Noah's consistent faith and work combined that condemned the world. He not only preached the present truth appropriate for that time, but he acted every sermon. Hindi lang yung tulad natin, ang daming nagtuturo diyan, pero hindi makikita sa kanilang buhay. Hindi natin makikita. But here Noah, he acted every sermon. He not only preached the present truth, but he acted every sermon. Had he never lifted his voice in warnings, no? His works, his holy character among the corrupt and ungodly would have been condemning sermons to the unbelieving and dissolute of that age. So yung kanyang gawa, no, yung kanyang ugali ang kanyang pinapakita, no? Talagang makikita yung kaibahan. Kaya nga ang tawag sa mga tao dati kay Noah, ano, parang baliw, no? Baliw na tao. Anong nangyari sa tao ito? Ba't hindi siya sumasama sa atin? Kasi iba siya, no? Ganyan din ba tayo? No? Nag-i-echo po. Yan. So ganyan din ba tayo mga kapatid? Sa life ni Noah? Makikita ba yung difference natin? O parang wala nang difference sa mundo? No? He bore himself with a Christ-like patience and meekness under the provoking insults, taunts, and mockery. No? His voice was often heard in praise to God for his power and help that he might do all the commandments of God. This was a condemning power to the unbelief. Hindi po niya kinondemn through words na, ay, grabe ka makasalanan. Hindi ganyan. But by his action, his faith and work combined that condemned the world. No? Next, God made a covenant with Noah. But I will establish my covenant with you. And you shall go into the ark, you and your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Mga kapatid, this, di ba sinasabi ng Panginoon is same sa time ni Noah ang mangyayari sa kanyang pagbalik. This also a covenant is for us. No. Build your ark. And you, your sons, your whole family, your wife, and your son's wife, mga kapatid, you will be saved. Anong ginawa ni Moses when God said this one? Anong ginawa niya? Liligtas ako ng Panginoon, okay na ako doon. Ganyan lang ba ang ginawa niya? Hindi, mga kapatid. He took his hammer. Kinuha niya ang kanyang hammer at gumawa siya ng arka. There is faith and work. It is not by faith alone. No, it is also associated with work. I will establish my covenant with you. You shall go, and you shall go into the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. So it is on us, mga kapatid. If we will build our ark, if we will take our hammer, if we will act, then by faith we will be saved. It is not by the faith of Moses, Noah, but it is by the grace of God. Okay? So baka meron po kayong dagdag. So God helped Noah like someone throws a life preserver to a shipwrecked sailor. He made a covenant with him. If you obey me, build an ark. See, if you obey me, build an ark and enter it, then I will save you and your family, mga kapatid. Napakaganda. If you obey me, build an ark and enter then I will save you. Who is our ark? Remember, it was it is only by Jesus Christ that we will be saved. No. So we will build our relationship with God, with Jesus Christ on the cross. See, the ark was made by wood and the cross was also made by wood. So we should build our relationship with God and enter into it, then tayo kasama ng ating mga anak at ng inyong mga asawa at inyong mga relatives, kayo po ay maliligtas. Tayo po ay maliligtas. That is a covenant. It is pure grace. Ito yung sinasabi kanina. It is pure grace. It was God's initiative to save Noah. Although he had done nothing to deserve it, God didn't benefit from that covenant. God didn't benefit from that covenant. However, Noah would have lost everything. See, he would have lost everything if he had broken it. Imagine how many years tinayo yung ark? 100 years, 120 years, if I am not mistaken. So ako nasa ano pa lang ako eh. Nasa 28 years old pala ako sa mundo pero parang ang hirap na. Paano pa kaya si Noah, no? He built the ark 120 years if I am not mistaken. Napakaraming taon. Sino ba ang pinakamatanda sa atin ngayon sa church? No, parang nasa mga 70. Sino kayang 76? Si Papay. Ano? Pero matanda na. Si Noah just building the ark for 120 years. Napaka tagal ng panahon. Dumating kaya sa isip ni Noah yon na parang tanggalin niya na lang. Yung parang magsawa siya ba, no? Magsawa siya. God longs to see those shipwrecked by sin being saved. See? Therefore, He offers us His covenant so we can enter the ark of salvation, an ark in the shape of the cross. So we should come to the cross where Jesus laid His life. Then, baka meron po kayong mga dagdag mga kapatid, no? Brother Ronald, may dagdag po kayo? Kayo dyan sa church, baka meron po kayong dagdag sa ating lesson ngayon.
Sino may dagdag dyan? Okay pa daw. Maganda daw yung explanation kaya wala mo nang dagdag.
Okay. So pagpatuloy natin. A covenant with all living being. Now this is now the covenant with all living being. What is the covenant with all the living being? This is now our Wednesday. I think Wednesday topic. This is the sign of the rainbow. Okay, you see that? The sign of the... I set my rainbow in the cloud and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Now, this is the covenant between God and the earth. Not only for Noah. Okay? Not only for Noah. Ang covenant niya with Noah is He will save him and his family. And this is the covenant made by God to us. Humans must accept some conditions in order to be part of the eternal covenant. What is the eternal covenant? We must willing to accept the covenant. Okay. However, God's covenant with every living creature in Genesis 9:12 is different. The covenant goes beyond humanity. Okay. It covers all animate beings. There are no conditions to become part of this covenant. Okay. God just promised to never send a flood again. So this is a promise of God. This is a covenant of God that He will not send a flood again to destroy all living creatures. No? So He will not send flood. But what He will send? Ano po? Okay, tanong na lang. If he will not send flood, what will He send? Okay, sino po ang sasagot? Ano po ang ipapadala ng Panginoon? Sino po ang sasagot? So may covenant ang Panginoon na hindi na daw magpapadala ng flood. He will never send flood again on earth. So ano kaya ipapadala ng Panginoon? Ha?
Apoy daw, apoy.
Yun, apoy. I will not send flood, but He will send fire. By fire, this earth will be consumed. Okay. Next, God announced this promise on a large scale. He used rain, a new phenomenon. Actually, this is the first time that they heard the word rain. Kaya walang naniwala sa kanila mga kapatid that time. Yung baha na sobrang laki. Kaya walang naniwala kay Noah this time. Because this is a new phenomenon for Noah and his family. And light refraction to draw beautiful colorful arches. So this time, kaya walang naniwala. Kaya ang sabi sa kanya, baliw tong taong to. Anong pinagsasabi nitong baha? Anong pinagsabing ulan? Wala naman. Ang init ng panahon. Di ba? Ganito, ganyan. This is a unique and unbreakable covenant. Its sign will last as long as earth does. So ang covenant na ito mga kapatid ay maglast as long as nandito pa ang earth. So ang pag-send niya ng baha ay hindi na mangyayari. So in Genesis 9 verse 12 to 17, God said, "This is the sign of the covenant." Para bagang Para bagang signature, no? Okay, this is my signature, this is my covenant. This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud. The rainbow is the signature itself. And it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and you. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth, and that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look unto it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. And God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant which I established between me and all the flesh that is on the earth." A rainbow is caused by sunlight and atmospheric conditions. Light enters a water droplets. No, yung pagbuo ng rainbow. Kung 'di ba every after rain, meron talagang mabubuong rainbow kasi ang rainbow is mapuproduce sa droplets na may yung may sunlight, no, magkakaroon ng reflection. Now slowing down and bending as it goes from air to denser water. The light reflects off the inside of the droplet, separating it into its prism component wavelengths, creating a spectrum of colors. So again, that he will not send rain again. So next, what happened? This is now the last part of the lesson, no? The remnant. Anong sa Thursday lesson natin? Only Noah was left. Hindi po talaga lahat ay maliligtas. At ito ang sigurado. Dahil hindi lahat ay maliligtas, iilan lang ang maliligtas. He destroyed all living things which were on the first face of the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive. Again, mga kapatid, so as the coming of the Son, so as the time of the days of Noah, so as the coming of the Son of Man be, kukunti lang po, iilan lang. In the time of Noah, there were 8. The verb to remain is closely related to the concept of remnant, something that is left. No? Kung babasahin natin yung mga talatang yan. God judged the antediluvian world and condemned them to destruction of their wickedness, but he made a covenant with the remnant, with those who willing to accept God and his preacher of righteousness. God is judging the world again. Nowadays, mga kapatid, God is judging the world again. His covenant is still available to all willing to accept it. There is still a little flock. Kung titingnan natin, mga kapatid, ang sanglibutan natin ngayon, no? Hindi na natin maintindihan. Napakalaki na po ng kasalanan. No? And God is judging the world again. His covenant is still available to all who willing to accept it. There is still a little flock, a faithful remnant. They are not better than others. They just love God and accept grace. No? They are not, hindi ibig sabihin, mga kapatid, na mayaman ka is maliligtas ka. They are not better than others. We are all the same. Mayaman ka man, mahirap ka man, kung ano mang status ng iyong buhay, tayo po ay pantay-pantay. Ang pagkakaiba, mga kapatid, they just love God and accept His grace. Now, we are saying, tayo po ay, sinasabi natin na tayo po ay remnant. O ano ba sa Tagalog yung remnant? No? Mga remnant. Ano pa nga sa Tagalog yung remnant?
Nalabi.
Oh, nalabi. Tayo, sinasabi
Alin?
natin tayo ay nalalabi. So, we claim to be the God's remnant church. We are the remnant. But we have part, mga kapatid. No? We claim to be the remnant. Ano po ang ginawa nila that time kay sa kanila ni Noah? Hindi ba nila pinagsabi na merong flood? Hindi ba nila binalaanan ang sangkatauhan na may darating na flood at lilisanin tayong lahat? Hindi ba nangyari yun? Mga kapatid, that is our part as a remnant. Gusto nyo bang maging kabilang sa mga nalalabi? Mga kapatid, gusto nyo ba? Kung gusto nyo, say amen. Kayo ba ay kabilang sa mga nalalabi?
Amen.
Amen. Okay. So, bago ko po ito basahin, baka meron po kayong dagdag. Last page na po ito ng ating PowerPoint. No, baka meron kayong dagdag.
Dagdag daw. So kailangan talaga kapatid na pumasok tayo sa ark. Sa panahon natin ngayon, kailangan tayo pumasok saan, Pastor? Kay Jesus, pananampalataya kay Jesus. Kasi dati, feeling ko madali lang yung trabaho nila eh. Papasok ka lang sa ark, ligtas ka na. Pero sabi ni Pastor, mahirap din kasi ba't sila papasok eh wala namang ulan. So, sa panahon natin ngayon naman, naghintay pa ng 7 days. Naghintay pa ng 7 days bago isarado pero wala talaga. Ngayon naman baka sabihin natin wala rin namang, di ba, ulan din ng apoy, sabi. Baka sabihin natin wala namang ulan ng apoy eh. Hindi tayo maniniwala. So, mahirap din. Pero yung kapatid, dapat talaga ay sikapin natin na pumasok tayo sa pananampalataya kay Jesus. Yun lang ang security natin eh. Kaya tayo remnant eh. Pag hindi tayo pumasok, ibig sabihin, hindi tayo part doon sa pagiging remnant. Sa pa daw.
Sa art ay maraming mga hayop. Daming hayop doon. Kaya 40 days, 40 nights. Tapos 150 days. Napakabaho ng art.
Oo nga.
No? Pero walang hayop na tumalon. Walang tao na umalis kahit mabaho. Kaya mga kapatid, kahit mahina yung ating church, may kahinaan, huwag kang lumabas sa church. Manatili ka kay Kristo kahit nakikita natin ang mga kahinaan, manatili tayo kay Jesus. Dahil mas mahirap ang nasa labas. Mas maigi ng may hirap na kasama ang Panginoon.
Amen.
Nakita ko rin din sa ating lesson, kagaya rin pala tayo ni Noe na makasalanan. Noong siya ay nakapagtipan sa Panginoon, di ba sabi sa ating memory text na si Noe ay nakatakbo ng biyaya sa paningin ng Panginoon. Kung makikita natin, si Noe ay naging isang matuwid, sakdal, sabi walang kapintasan, at siya ay nakasama ng ating Panginoon. Kaya din tayo bilang mananampalataya, bilang anak ng Diyos, kung tayo makikipagtipan, kagaya ni Noe sa ating Panginoon, yung ating maging karakter ay mababago sa ating pang-araw-araw ng buhay. Yung magiging karakter natin ay kagaya ni Noe at kagaya ng ating Panginoon. Kaya yung isang nakita kong mensahe dito sa ating lesson, napakabuti ng Panginoon na lahat ay tayo bilang mga nilalang ay tinatawagan tayo na makipagtipan sa Kanya.
Amen.
Amen. So makipagtipan tayo mga kapatid, no? So once again, before the great destruction of the world by fire, there is granted a period of test and trial. Tayo po ay itetest. Isi-shake tayo mga kapatid. Men are given opportunity to show whether or not they will be loyal to God. As God's witnesses, as God's remnant, we have a message to bear to all the world. The Lord has many children who have never heard the truth of these times. God's servants must give them the final warning. Magandang umaga at happy Sabbath po sa ating lahat.